Hi, I'm Terry and I'm nuts about stamping. I'm back today with another Sundays with Sizzix project. I'm going to create a thank you card using my Big Shot and a couple of different products. I want to start off this card by making the stamped image for it. So I have a scrap piece of very vanilla cardstock. I'm going to use my For All Things stamp set. You know, I think this is one of the best fall stamp sets Stampin' Up! Has ever come out with. I'm going to use two stamps. I'm going to use this one as a background, and then I'm going to ink up this one in the foreground. So I'm going to start with the background stamp, and I'm going to use my Mossy Meadow ink. It's going to coordinate together with some designer series paper I'm going to use in a bit. So what I want to do is some generation stamping. This is a really great technique. If you don't want your background to be really dark, what you're going to do is ink it up and you're going to stamp it a couple of times on scrap paper and then stamp it on the original piece. And that way it's not a really dark background, and what I want to put on top of it will appear better to the eye. Okay? Now what I want to do is ink up the leaf stamp, and I'm going to use my markers to do that. I'm going to use Cajun Craze and Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to start off by inking up with the Mossy Meadow marker. And then I'm going to use the sort of the string that's wrapped around it using the Cajun Craze. Go. I use the brush end and I use the side of the marker brush to ink it up. I huffed on it and then I'm going to stamp it down on top like so. There we go. Very pretty. Now I'm going to take my scrap paper and put it aside so that you can see what I'm doing for the rest of the card. So the next thing I want to do is use my Big Shot, and I'm going to use the Ovals Collection Framelits. I've chosen an oval that will go around the image that I just created, and I'm going to die cut it out. I'm going to use my magnetic platform. Let me bring it in a little bit closer. So I've got my magnetic platform, bottom standard cutting pad, my cardstock with the framelit around it, and the magnetic platform holds that framelit in place gently. It's not a really strong magnet, but it works very efficiently. Top standard cutting pad, and then I'm going to run it through. And it has die cut out the image that I want for the front of my card. I'm not quite finished with my Big Shot yet. What I want to do is use a scrap piece of Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to use an embossing folder to emboss this, and this is going to be another layer for my card front. So when using an embossing folder, I'm going to put my magnetic platform aside and bring in my multi-purpose platform on tab 1, bottom standard cutting pad. I'm going to use my wood grain embossing folder and put my Mossy Meadow inside, line it up inside the folder, and then my top standard cutting pad, and run that through, and it will emboss it. And I've finished using my Big Shot. There we go. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to use a couple of scrap pieces of Cajun Craze cardstock, and I'm going to put one at the bottom and one at the top. There we go. Of my embossed piece. So one at the top. And the purpose of these little strips is to create sort of a frame for the oval that's going to be in the center. There we go. One at the bottom, one at the top, and then I am going to put the stamped oval in the center. Now I could pop it up, but for this time I'm not going to use my Stampin' Dimensionals. Let's see, we'll get this centered like so. All right, so there's one of the layers for my card front. The next thing I want to do is create the card base, and I've chosen the Cajun Craze, and I have cut it 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm just going to fold it and use my bone folder to make a nice crisp crease like so. And to that I am going to add a layer of crushed curry. I'm going to put spots of snail adhesive, and this crushed curry is going to be a layer like so. And then what pulls it all together is a scrap piece of Color Me Autumn Designer Series paper that I'm going to put on top of the crushed curry. I'm going to run it along the side like so, and then the last thing I'm going to do is bring in my stamped layer and attach that. Again, I'm going to use my snail adhesive. There we go. Now, you'll notice that this card base is Cajun Craze, and when I open it up, it's not so attractive inside for stamping on. So I'm going to bring in a second piece of crushed curry, and I'm going to use that as a layer for inside my card. And that way, whatever I stamp on it, because I haven't figured out yet quite what the purpose of this card's going to be, whether it's going to be a thank you card, as I said originally, because there are some great word images. But I think for now, I'm going to not use one of the word images in the For All Things stamp set. This could be a birthday card, it could be a thinking of you card, a get well soon card, and so on. So I'll determine that purpose based on the occasion that I need it for. But when I'm ready, I can ink up the phrase that I want, stamp it inside, write my note, and be ready to go. For a complete listing of the supplies that I used to make this card and the measurements for the cardstock pieces, please hop on over to my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. While on my blog, you can look at lots of other sample ideas. I post those ideas nowhere else. You can subscribe to my customer newsletters. They're free and they come out every month. You can click on the Shop Now button on the right-hand side to purchase the products used to make this card, or you can check out some club ideas that I have running right now. I'm Terri. I'm nuts about stamping. See you next time. Bye for now.